This is God's Economy, where we talk about God's currency. I'm your host, Rick Niemi, and I have more than a special guest today. I'm here with my son, Evan Niemi. What's good, Evan?
What's up? I'm excited to be here.
What are you thinking about as we're doing this legacy piece? What's on your mind this morning?
I'm just grateful for the opportunity to sit down with you and finally get on your podcast, my own father's podcast. I didn't think I'd make it here, but I don't stop it.
Well, I mean, you hear it all the time, so it's like one of those things where you pour into your children and as best you can, and you don't think they're listening, but the truth is they actually do. 3 months later, 6 months later, they feed you back something you told them a long time ago, and you didn't think they were paying attention. So, actually, more than what I say, though, I think, and what kind of changed my life, and we're going to get into it today, talk about it a little bit more today, is it's easy to say it and it's harder to do it. So it didn't matter what I told him. He was still watching what I did. Wasn't always perfect. It wasn't always great. Definitely needed some do-overs. Definitely a process of learning how to become a better father. Not having one in my life, being Evan's dad, gave me a chance to learn how to be not only God's son, but a better person. So opening question for you. What does it mean for you to kind of sit here today as my son and having this conversation? What does it mean?
Well, first, I mean, I would just say I'm proud of you, honestly.
I'm proud of you.
I think that both of us, would have looked back a few years ago and looked to this moment. We probably wouldn't be like, we'd probably be a little surprised. So,
I would say.
yeah, I'm more just excited for where you're taking God's economy and how you're impacting people. And I'm excited to, be a small part of it now being on the podcast and also, always sharing your episodes with my friends and all that.
Yeah.
So
It's all meant to encourage.
exactly. Yeah.
It's all meant to encourage. Doesn't mean we have all the right answers. Doesn't
Right.
mean we're living perfect lives. It just means that we're trying to live our best life the way God intended, right?
Yeah. And I've never been on a podcast before. So, it'll be fun, even though,
You're a natural.
that. So
Plus, you're handsome.
yeah,
It's
I
all
get it
good.
too.
Yeah. um, if someone listening right now doesn't know you, how would you describe, who you are right now? You've gone through a lot of stuff. You're adulting. You're this young man now. Actually, you're leaving the house in a couple weeks to start your career, in your adult life. Um, how would you describe where you are right now?
Well, I would say I'm a friend to all. I've always been that way, that.
Mhm.
So make friends pretty easily, and I like to make people happy. I like to be the guy that people feel good around. And I feel like I'm kind of carry a light with me. You've always said that,
Yeah.
have that constant joy. Definitely comes from the Lord for sure. But
Hmm.
yeah, obviously most important, I'm a Christ follower, and um, I try to lead by example.
Yeah.
Um,
You do.
I'm a retired athlete now, so it's a little different, like you said, about to start a career here soon and, move away and all that. So in a weird time right now, but, definitely excited and, you know, looking to build more relationships wherever God takes me.
That's definitely going to happen. You were always, we always told you were born with the joy of the Lord. You just had that smile, wanted to be everyone's friend, being social, ever since you're able to make friends.
Hmm.
And one of those things that your mom and I always tried to pour into you is that these affirmations, I think, affirmations and, identity, from a young age, it was telling Evan that, you know, uh, you're handsome and you're a good boy, and you're a good boy and you're handsome, and just reinforcing those things, and that you have the joy of the Lord in your heart. And I think you've actually grown into that. I don't know if that was something that you took on or not, but let's talk a little bit about, me being your dad. And it doesn't have to be all good, but when you think about me as a father, what stands out most?
I would say just the example you set, how to how to be a husband, how to be a father, and that you always wanted better for me. And you always tell me that since we were little, that like you'd say you want me to be better than you were always, no matter what it was, if it was hoops or, business. But I think you've been a prime example of how to be a true Christ follower, a disciple of others. Even when I was in high school, you'd be trying to pour into my friends and I,
Yep.
get us, to read the word a little bit.
Yep.
And back then, I wasn't as open to it, or I just didn't understand as much. But obviously, building that foundation early on is something that's allowed me to get to the point where I'm at now, where I can pour into others myself.
Yep.
So I would definitely say you just set a great example of what it looks like to be a husband, to be a father, to be a Christ follower, to be a friend to others.
Love that.
And I think you also have always been very compassionate for others and very gracious and giving to others who needed it and helping out as much as you can. And I think that's the most important thing in life. So
I love that. I appreciate that. I mean, I think one of the things I wasn't locked in on that priority, husband or father, at the level that I needed to be until my mid-30s, though, is when God had that hardship and God had to take away some stuff for me to literally really get my act together with what my priorities were. But from that moment on, it was when, okay, I don't know how to be a better father. I don't know how to be a better husband because I never saw it modeled and I didn't have anyone to show me. So, but God told me He would show me. He told me He would show me and that He would teach me and He would grow me and He would learn me everything I needed to know. And it doesn't mean it was always perfect. I mean, you know, there must have been times where, and there were obviously times where we need to do over and, nothing's perfect. Marriage is not perfect. Families aren't perfect. Is there anything that comes to mind that you could see that there was a process where, both I or you improved or I improved or we improved as a family where there was a struggle or we got through, we used to be this way, but we've seen God's fruit in our life that we've been able to, do better the way He wants us to treat each other and those kinds of things.
um I guess just as a family, like as a whole, pursuing God.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously with everything in life, there's ebbs and flows to it. And I think sometimes we probably would get off track and wouldn't go to church as much, wouldn't plan out the year, wouldn't be giving everything to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we would always come back and obviously as the head of the household, you were leading that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously everything wasn't always perfect.
Right.
You and mom got in arguments at times. Um, you know, you busted my balls sometimes after basketball games if I didn't score enough points.
Facts.
But ultimately it all worked out,
Yeah.
obviously, and
Yeah.
and God was there with us the entire time
Yeah.
through tough times and through good times.
Yeah.
And people can look at you now and see the success you had,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know that you started from level zero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had to work for what you have. Obviously, you didn't always have a beautiful house and a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people understand that about you, but like as your son, like I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I remember like when when you weren't as successful, weren't as wealthy, and the one thing that was always constant was your love and care for me, like regardless of that.
True.
So I got from me to you, like, I really appreciate that.
That's awesome.
And I'm
Do that.
really just proud of you. So
Thank you, brother. I'm proud of you. No, I think when I look back and wanting you to have success, a lot of times parents, and I mean, to be honest, like me needing you to be good in sports or whatever you were doing it was about me. It wasn't even about you. That's the problem.
yeah, living through me a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
And you had a lot of patience. And so I think between, and I think even though that was hard on you in some ways and some of your coaches and things like that were hard on you, it really shaped you to be tough as nails, man. Like what I've seen you be able to do is endure a lot of challenging circumstances and hardships. And I think the thing that bothered me the most was the people as you were growing up that judged you because of my success,
Mm.
not knowing that I didn't have that. And I was the other guy growing up that had to try to level up my family so that we could do different things.
Right.
So I took offense to some of the people that we used to do life with that judged you for not wanting anything or thinking that you had it all or this or that when your pops worked really hard and your mom, because no one actually gives credit to mom, but mom was a baller, dude. She was rolling, man. She was like
Oh,
crushing it at work and taking care of the kids and all that stuff and doing night shifts with as a pharmacist. And this is hard work, real life. But um, I look back on it now. I'm like, man, we actually we got through a lot of stuff.
definitely. Yeah.
Um, what did I do well that you might want to carry forward? What's something that you want to take away where you definitely want to do that? It's a priority to you.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. I just think building a foundation for your children, like when they're early on, is so important when it comes to faith and following God. because that's obviously when you're most influenced is when you're younger. And like ever since I was young, like that was just something that was a part of my life.
Yeah.
And I've obviously carried it on, and like I know how important it is, and obviously like I made it my own when I'm older, but
Mhm.
I think that's the most important thing,
Yeah.
number one. But number two, just like basic encouragement and wisdom and life lessons. Like one thing I always remember is so simple is like you always would tell me work first, play second, right? Whatever it was, like obviously I didn't have a job when I was a child, but I had a lot of video games and toys I wanted to play all the time. But if I had to, do some chores or whatever first, like you made sure I did that first,
Or your schoolwork.
or schoolwork, obviously, yeah, and then I could play after.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm gonna teach my future kids for sure.
I love that.
For sure, and there's so many more lessons you taught me, but I think just number one, setting the foundation for your children to be a Christ follower and understand, the basics of the gospel, all that stuff, and then
Their identity.
teaching them, yeah, exactly, identity is number one, and then number two, just work ethic and integrity, really.
I think that's the thing I mean, that might be the thing outside of the fact that you and Taylor both made, your faith your own, is you both of your work ethic is on another level. I mean, I did not even have that. I mean, that structure of work ethic. I look at it like, mom and I, getting to be older and things like that, really making a conscious effort to be healthy
Mhm.
in mind and body and spirit.
Right.
And like, you're going to the gym and Taylor's going to the gym and you're getting on us for eating a bag of salad that has 21 ingredients in it. And like, how can a bag of salad have 21 ingredients?
Stay away from some seed oils.
Stay away from those sea oils. I got my own kids preaching at me on how to be healthier with the food. And it's like that, but we're all on the same type of time. And I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, even though like you and mom were doing well, I still wanted to do something on my own. I still wanted to work and get a job, even in high school, where I really didn't need to. Like, obviously, like, dude, you're doing well, and there's no reason for me as a 16-year-old to go get a job.
Get a job at Primark. Just do it. I go, I got a job at Primark. I'm like, what the heck? You got a job? Where? When? Why?
Hey,
You need the money.
shout out to my boys from high school that worked at Quarry Park Adventures with me, harnessing up some kids so they can go zip line and stuff. But like, I think that just goes to show like that. I don't know. I don't know if it was just a chip on my shoulder or something, just because yeah, my dad's doing well, but I still want to work.
Well, I guess everyone won too, man.
To other people.
Well, you and I had a moment. You and I had a moment in the staircase one time. And I said, son, I love you a lot. You know I do, but you're living my life. And that is my truck. That is my penthouse that you're staying in. And I said, I want you to be successful for yourself. What are you going to do? And I remember having that conversation with you, and you were so mad, rightfully so. But your attitude changed, and what that did for you at that moment, that's why you went and got that job. That's why you wanted to, create your own path for success. And it's like, which it's not about Shaq saying, we ain't not rich, I'm rich. It's just, I wanted you to have your own things, because so many people that come from families that provide,
Yeah.
they end up not having a fire for themselves to do good in life. And they kind of cash in the chips as like, I'm just going to coast on my parents. And I wanted you to be great. The whole point of me being your dad was that you were going to exceed me in every way, shape, or form.
Right.
In career, in faith, in impact, in legacy, in
Mhm.
love, in relationships, at work, all of it. Otherwise, I mean, you need to be better than me. That's my job. And here you're moving away middle of next month. Taylor's actually moving Super Bowl weekend, and there's a sense of loss and sadness, but there's more pride and joy about this is actually really happening.
Mhm.
You're equipped to do it. So there's a lot of pride there. I want to ask you one more question about fatherhood before we talk to you about some other things, but um, and I always wanted to, you know, measure up to some person that you would look up to, admire, and respect in a way that I earned it. But it's important for it was important for me to know, for you to know that I was not perfect. So, was there a moment? What was the moment that you realized I wasn't perfect? And what that meant. Like, was there a moment you realized I wasn't perfect but present though?
Yeah, I mean, I think with everyone, if I mean, especially within a family, spending time together, you see each other's flaws. Um, there was times where I think couldn't control your temper that well,
True.
or like I said earlier, maybe you and your mom were arguing or over something stupid, um, or yeah, it's just like little stuff like that. It's nothing crazy
Yeah.
that you really were going through or anything, but I think just little stuff that every human goes through um, that kind of shows that, we are like sinful beings and we do make mistakes,
Yeah.
like inevitably.
Yeah.
And I think you being able to be honest and like, um, you know, whatever it was, always come back and ask for forgiveness and say, you're sorry and that, that wasn't you. You're acting out of anger or whatever it was at the moment, that would like, I know I always appreciated that because like it showed like everyone's been there. Like that showed me that you're obviously not perfect, but that's what it's supposed to be like. You know what I mean? Like people make mistakes, you are accountable for it,
Yeah.
and you own up to it. And that's an example in itself where like when that happens to me, because I'm just gonna I mean it has happened to me.
Yeah.
I was able to take accountability for it,
Yeah.
ask for forgiveness, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the thing that you've learned really well and that took me a longer time was, learning how to process thoughts and feelings in a healthy way. And I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to actually, I had to learn how to unlearn a lot of behaviors in the way that I grew up and how I reacted to things, how I coped with difficult circumstances or stressful circumstances, and to do it in a God honoring way that would be more productive, where it would be have a better outcome. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about you is I look at some of the and we're talking about whatever adversity you had, that you handled disappointment very well. You handled disappointment in a healthy way.
Always.
Yeah, you didn't really act out even when you were younger. So that's something that mom and I always were like a little bit in awe of how you could do that. Um, let's talk about sports, teamwork, and identity. Uh, what role did sports play in shaping who you are today? You played basketball, you played football.
Yeah.
You've always been in sports. It's been something that you've just enjoyed. You used to just enjoy, and when you were little, it was more about the relation, like, hey, where are we going for pizza? And then at some point, you got the game's still going on, or where are we going for pizza? But
Yeah, yeah.
got to where you got competitive. But what role did sports play in shaping who you are?
Well, the pizza is very important because at the end of the day, and I'll touch on this, like you can win everything in sports, but if no one likes you on the team, then what did you really gain besides a few medals or awards? You know what I mean? So I think for me, like sports, I mean, without sports, I just wouldn't be who I am today. Like definitely, definitely, got my competitiveness from sports, always wanting to win and like, you know, attacking like a goal with a group of people like-minded, and everyone may be different on the team. I think that's the most important thing
Yeah.
is that everyone's from a different background, everyone grew up a different way, and everyone thinks a different way, but we're all there for one reason, that's to achieve the same goal, which is, to win.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely in the team sports
yeah,
for sure.
but, I mean, relationships number one, like every person I've come across in high school sports, college sports, it was a blessing to be able to meet people and establish relationships. And like, I mean, all my best friends, I played sports with.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. But I mean, it just taught me so many lessons,
Yeah,
so many characteristics that will help me in my future career, help me when I'm a father in the future, help me just in general. And you touched on some of them, being mentally tough, the ability to persevere, the ability to manage your time well, especially when I got to college, like super busy, having to manage classes, having to go to lift, meetings, practice, film, and then any extracurricular, like I had to make it to that too, which that'd be like my Bible study, whatever it was. But I mean, there's some days where I was up for a 6 a.m. workout,
yeah,
and that means you're waking up at 5,
yeah. Damn, man.
and then go to that, then you go to um, meetings, and then film, and then practice, and then you have 3 or 4 classes, and then I had a Bible study or anything extracurricular,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to eat meals throughout the day,
You had a chance to eat.
and then finally I'm at home. It's like 9 p.m. and so I think just being able to do that For 5 years, which I did
Yeah.
in college, I mean, that's just, like, gonna carry over in everything in my life, and, like, I feel like it made me such a strong person. I could talk about it forever, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me ask you a specific question about being a teammate. When was a time where, you know, because I mean, I was always wanting you to have your own personal success within the team frame. Like for you to be not greedy, but for you to like try to be your best self individually, collectively as a team.
Mhm.
But tell me about a time where that wasn't going as well, and you really needed to pour in and be a better teammate, and what that looked like, where teammate was more important or more prevalent than you're getting your own individual stats or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I realized it early on, and I'm glad I did, where being a teammate's more important than having personal success, and when I really got
Why though?
when I really I know, but when I really got to the point where I wanted success for others, that, was everything. Like some of my best friends and that I played college football with, like, I was competing for the same spot. And I have a group chat with, like, two of my buddies, former teammates, and we were all competing for the same spot, but we have a group chat together because we all love each other, and we all want each other to
Yeah.
succeed. And when one of us was hurt and someone else was playing or whatever it may be, we are always rooting for each other, and I think that's just because we're all genuine people. Like, obviously, we want the success for ourselves, but the moment when you're not having success for yourself and someone else is having success in the spot you want to have success for, and you're happy for them and encouraging them, it's honestly even more fulfilling than you having the success for yourself. And it's hard to explain, really. But I've been in that situation so many times where I wasn't playing and I just had to cheer on the teammate in front of me, or I was hurt and I couldn't play, and it hurt to not be able to play. But cheering them on showed them that I was a genuine friend and a good person,
Mhm.
and that allowed them to trust me and like me even more, and really respect me. And I think I mean, I'd rather have the respect of people
Me
than
too.
to be, just good at a sport.
100%. I mean, another thing that, I mean, recently, I mean, and I shared this that you taught me was, contentment versus complacency, and about, um, you weren't actually playing the exact role that you wanted to play, but you still walked around like you were a starter. You still prepared as if you were starting on certain packages and things like that. Tell me about the mindset when you decided to accept where you were in God's economy, but you were still going to carry and conduct yourself in a way that I felt honored yourself, your family, and your God.
Yeah, so and I first got that thing, the carry yourself like a starter from a coach my freshman year, and it just kinda stuck with me the whole thing. And I think carrying yourself like a starter can be not just in sports, but it can be in everything in life and business and anything you're pursuing. But the whole content versus complacement thing really came to me when obviously we were speaking together about, like, oh, like, I think you asked me to talk to the coach or something to play more.
Of course.
And I was like, if I was if I was playing good enough, or if I was, doing this, like, it wouldn't even be a question. And that's not say I wasn't doing well. Like, I was, and the coach even told me I was doing well, but the guy in front of me was also doing well, and he's been there before
Mm.
me, or he was bigger, or whatever it was. But I was able to work as hard as I could, knowing that I wasn't the starter,
Mhm.
and accept my role as a second string,
Yeah.
and still impact the team in a positive way by, one, being a good teammate, practicing hard, leading by example, pouring into the younger people on the team. And then when my name was called, which it was, and I still got to play a good amount,
Yeah.
I did my thing, and
You did.
I
Impressive.
balled out when I had my chance. And then when I went back to the sideline, I was cheering on the guy in front of me.
I love that.
And I think God really honors that and blesses that.
We talk about that.
And some people, they could have pouted and just not worked as hard, and then that spirals, and it leads to worse things.
It
Like, if you're
does.
gonna do that, then you might not even be second string anymore. You might be third string or off the team.
Mhm.
But whatever it is, and whatever, like, season of life you're in, like, I think the most important thing is knowing where God has you and being where your feet are, and understanding that you have to work as hard as you can no matter what the circumstances are, but also being able to accept what the reality is. Like if the reality is that you're not going to start and you're going to be a backup, you have to embrace that role and do everything you can to help everyone you can.
Okay. One more question. Do you think sports prepared you more for success or hardship?
Oof, definitely hardship. I mean, I'd say both, but I think I think there's nothing more that sports can prepare you for than hardship.
Yeah.
And that can be for multiple reasons. It can be for, if you've lost or if you've been injured.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of success, like, how to handle success the right way, being a good sport,
Yes.
all that stuff. But I mean, hardship is something that everyone's going to face. In my opinion, I think at some point everyone's going to suffer, and without suffering, you're not going to be able to endure and grow. And I think sports is a great way to suffer. Like the amount of times I didn't want to wake up at 5 to go to a 6 a.m. workout and run till we all threw up was probably every time. But just the fact I was able to do it and never miss one, never miss practice or lift or anything, and fully commit to that, like going through that, going through tough injuries where I had to sit out a whole season and be a good sport still,
Yeah.
like that stuff's gonna carry over in everything I do and like make me tougher
It
than the
will.
next guy, in my opinion.
It will. I want to transition because we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but you know, I want to talk to you about your faith and when you made it your own.
Yeah.
Tell us about why you decided to make your faith your own and what was that process like for someone who was thinking about, I don't know, I might be a Christian or a believer because my mom and dad are, or my parents are, or my family are, but I'm not having that personal relationship with God the way I could. I think I'm going to do it. What happened and tell us.
Yeah, well, I think that God called me, obviously. Number one, like I think that it was bound to happen. Um, Only a matter of time, but it was the best decision ever. Obviously, like I've been a Christian my whole life, being baptized when I was younger and stuff, going to church with you and the family on Sundays. But when I got to college, it's obviously a different environment. I'm on my own.
Yep.
And there's not my parents there to take me to church, or I'm not with you physically to do a study with. And I was very blessed to have an on-campus ministry called Athletes in Action
Mm-hmm.
at Butler. And basically what it was all the athletes on campus. It was a group intended for them to meet together and, do Bible studies together, go to events together, go to church together, all that stuff. And when I was a freshman, it was presented to me and I was kind of half in, half out. I'd go to some of the meetings, but I wouldn't go to all of them. And, sometimes it felt like a burden. I was like, oh, like, should we go to this? Sure. But then when I started committing to it more, sophomore year comes around, I'm going a little more, but I'm still living for the world. I'm still stuck in some sinful ways, and my heart just wasn't where God wanted it to be.
Mm.
And it was really a gradual process at like my 4 years there at Butler. I'm really grateful for it. And there was some things that brought me closer to God and truly allowed me to make it my own and like honestly like change my life. And I'd say there was like two pivotal moments. I'd say the first was my junior year, going into my junior year, as you know, like fall camp's coming around, training camp for football, and I'm very pumped up. I'm excited for a big year. I thought I had a decent sophomore year, and it was kind of like selfish desires. Like I really wanted to do well the next year, so people could look at me and all that stuff. And God took that away from me. I tore my ACL and my meniscus in training camp, like third day of training camp.
Yeah. Right.
And obviously, that had to get season-ending surgery. And I was just really confused and upset. And at first, it was like, "Why God?" But then it was like, it was just weird. It was like a whole like moment with God I had myself, and He was like basically saying like, "I need your eyes on me."
Yeah.
And and He took away football, which at that moment was my identity, athlete, football,
Yep.
whatever it was, and He took that away from me so I could land my eyes on Him and truly give my life to Him. And it wasn't right away. I was still, um, you know, at the first week or whatever, I don't think I reacted the right way, and then I was like, just had a moment. I was like, all right.
Oh, you and I had a conversation. In the
I
conversation
remember
was
calling you.
react versus respond. I told you the way that you respond to this is going to be a tone setter for your life, and you responded like amazingly. You were a better teammate. You were a better a friend. You were better in the class. You can get better in the classroom. You get better in the film room. You did everything you needed to do,
Mhm.
and that time really positioned you for success for not just your senior year, but where you're at right now. And as we wrap up, I want to ask you one more question. What would you say to someone who's in a spot where they're thinking about giving their life to God, they're thinking about going all in or not, and what would you say to them, and what would you encourage them to think through?
For sure, good question. I think first I just wanna kinda finish off on the last thought, because that kinda ties into this one. And like, I mentioned the first one, having that injury,
Yeah.
and I'd say that next year was, ups and downs, but I was still way more committed, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't participate in my sport, so Athletes in Action, the on-campus ministry, I fully dove into that. I made it a commitment to not miss a single Bible study, not miss any event, not miss any meeting, and then in that sense, I kinda became a leader in that ministry, and others took notice.
Yeah.
They're like, Evan, like, you just got hurt. You can't play this whole season. Why are you happy? Why are you in a good mood? But it was because that injury made me feel a sense of gratitude I've never felt before,
Hmm.
of what everything I was already blessed with
Mm.
besides my sport. And then my identity became rooted in Christ. And I would say that if you're thinking about it, you got to just dive in. Kind of like what Elijah said in the last podcast: start before you're ready. You don't have to be perfect. You can be still stuck in sin. You can feel shame. You can feel doubt. But if you give your life to Christ, I promise you, it's for the better, and He's gonna change you, and
Amen.
it's gonna be unexplainable feeling. Like, you're gonna feel peace, joy, and it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard, actually, because you're gonna become more aware of your sin. You're gonna become more aware of how corrupt this world is, right? But that's that sanctification, and then once you start reaping the fruits of the Spirit, and you actually feel the discernment, and you're like, wow, like, I just said no to something I would have never said no to before. You feel proud, and
Right.
you yearn for that.
Same.
And then from there, other people take notice, like I said, and then you start bringing others with you. And that was the main thing, like, being in part of Athletes in Action.
Yeah.
I had brothers with me, doing it with me on the team, and we could push each other. So not only you grow individually, but you grow with others, and it's kind of like a fan base. Like, anytime I see anyone wearing a shirt that says Jesus or Christ follower on Instagram or whatever it is, I automatically love them. Like, I automatically want to become their friend.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important, and
Yeah.
it's a sense of community that you won't get anywhere else. Um,
Mm.
and you'll grow individually, and you'll grow with others. So I think people just gotta dive in and give their life to Christ, especially nowadays. So
My son. Who would have thought? You're too wise, bro. You're too wise. No, I'm super proud of you. I love you. I think you're doing great. You're going to do great in the Midwest. You're going to do great in your career. You're going to do great in your relationships. You're built to last. You're built different. You're too tough in the Lord's name, right? And I want to pray for you.
all right,
Heavenly Father, I just lift up Evan to you, Lord, my son, your son. And I just give you uh, all of him, Lord. He's your boy too. And I just ask you to go before him, make a way for him, give him the understanding and the wisdom and the discretion to live his best life the way you intended him to live, Lord God. In the relationships, have him continue to make good choices that lead to good outcomes and to be used by you for good, Lord. The most important thing I pray is that he will be used by you for good with everyone that he comes into contact with. I ask you, Lord God, to get him favor in the things that he's doing, the work that he's pursuing, his life there in the Midwest and in relationship with his girlfriend. And I ask you to honor him and bless him in everything he does. In Jesus' name. That's it. That's it for our podcast today. This was a blessing, a legacy piece for me and my son. Make sure to follow me on my social media and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to the next time.